Well, thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for showing up today. So yeah, Grady and I, today we're going to be sharing how to scale knowledge and capacity, really help future-proof your organization. So as a thank you for joining us today, we're going to be sharing Future Ready Playbook. So this is a guide to actually implement some of these ideas you're going to learn about today to take it back to your organization. Let's have a little fun. So if you've ever, participated in one of my presentations, I love Slido. It's just going to make it a little bit more fun and interactive. I'm going to be asking you all some questions through the webinar, and we'll actually be able to see the results live on screen. And it's anonymous, so don't worry, your name's not going to show up on the screen, but if you scan that QR code there with your phone, or go to slido.com, enter in that code, and then you'll jump into the room and you'll see at the top, it'll say Future Ready Utilities, and it'll say that there's no active polls at the moment, but don't worry, we'll get to that in a sec. So we'll give you a minute. Makes it a little bit more fun. See a few of you jumping in there already. That's good. All right. Well, let's kick it off with a question. I'm curious, again, it's anonymous, so don't worry. What generation do you belong to? So you can just select one of those. All right, we've got half the room, Gen X's, quite a few millennials. I'm surprised, only 4% Gen Zs. All right. So it looks like a little more than half are Gen X's. Interesting. A third are millennials. My cohorts there. Interesting.
Shout out to Gen Zs.
Yeah, I guess. That's interesting. Very cool. Well, appreciate you participating in that there. I'm going to have some more questions, so it'll be fun. A couple more baby boomers jumped in there. There we go. We're at 10%. That's interesting. Well, thank you for the feedback. Oh, look, we're climbing on the baby boomers. Cool. That was great. So while you all are here with us in this webinar, your teams, they're busy interacting with your customers, right? Let's take a look at a few interactions at a utility near you.
Hello?
Hi, this is Grace from City Utilities. I'm reaching out to let you know there is an overdue balance of $161.52. To avoid any interruption in service, please try to make a payment by March 12th. If you need help making a payment or would like to discuss options, feel free to let me know. Do you have any questions?
Oh, wow, that really snuck up on me. I don't know if I'll be able to pay that off in time. Is there some way we could push that back or something?
Let me pull up your account details. Just a moment. I've pulled up your account. Let me check to see what options are available for payment arrangements. Just a moment. I have a few options here for you. I can either extend the due date by 1 week, spread the payments over 3 weeks, or spread the payments over 6 weeks. Which option would you like to go with?
How much would that 3-week option be?
The 3-week option would be $53.84 per week for 3 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, that would be super helpful. Thank you.
Great. I'll submit that payment arrangement for you. Just a moment. I've submitted the payment arrangement for you. You'll need to make 3 payments of $53.84 each starting on March 17th. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Great. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, I think that should be it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
So a relatively simple, kind of common, kind of a customer interaction that you might be familiar with. Let's take a look at something maybe a little bit more complex.
Thank you for calling City Utilities. This is Grace speaking. How can I help you today?
I just had a couple questions about my bill. I was hoping you could help me out with.
Of course. I'd be happy to help you with that. Can I start by getting your account number?
Sure. Yeah, I think I have it around here somewhere. Just give me a second.
No problem. Take your time.
It is 21230.
Got it? And then the last 2 digits are?
The last 2 are 30.
Great. So that's 2123030. Let me just pull up your account details. Just a moment. I'm not seeing anything under that account number. Just to confirm, I have 2123030. Is that correct?
Sorry, it was just 21230.
I see. So it's 21230. Let me try that again. Just a moment. I've got your account pulled up here. You mentioned you had some questions about your bill. I see your current balance is $161.52. Would you like to try and take care of it today?
It seems like it just gets more expensive like every month. Is it always this much?
I can take a look at your past bills to see how this one compares. Just a moment. It looks like your bill has been around this amount for the past few months. I can also check your recent consumption history to see if it has increased or decreased. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Let me check your usage for you. Just a moment. I see that your water usage has increased this month. It looks like you've used 4,200 gallons of water this month compared to 3,100 gallons last month. This increase in usage could be the reason for the higher bill. Would you like me to go over a few ways to reduce your water consumption?
Is there anywhere I could see this?
I can send you a link to our self-service portal where you can review your water usage on your phone. It may be easier to visualize. Would you like me to send that to you?
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Great. I'll send that over now. Just a moment. I've sent the link over to your phone. You should have it now. Please open the text and tap the link to get into your portal.
Okay, I see the link here.
Great. Once you're in, go to the smart meter section. That's where you can see your detailed water usage.
Just give me 1 second there.
No problem. Take your time.
Sorry, you said smart meter?
Yes, that's right. The smart meter section.
Okay. I think I see it here.
Great. The bars show how much water was used over each day. If one day is much higher than the others, that can help show when the increase started. Do you see any spikes or days that look higher than usual?
A little bit. I feel like there's got to be a leak or something. It seems like I'm using way more than I should be.
I'm sorry to hear that. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on. Are you seeing any days where the usage is steady and high, even when you know you weren't using water?
Yeah, it seems like it. If I had a leak, would I have to pay this entire bill?
Sorry, I missed. If the high bill was caused by an unintended leak, you may be able to request a review once the leak has been repaired. This is called a leak adjustment. Would you like me to send you a link to the form you would need to fill out?
Sure. Yeah. Would I would fill that out after it gets fixed or something?
Yes, that's right. You would fill out the form after the leak has been repaired. It will ask for some basic bill information and a brief description of what happened and what was fixed. You may also need to provide proof of repair, such as an invoice, depending on local policy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you could send that over, that would be great.
Sure thing. I'll send that over now. Just a moment. I sent the link over to your phone. You can fill out the form once the leak has been repaired. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Yeah, I did just have one more question. I am moving in the next couple of weeks and wanted to get my services switched over if possible.
I can help you with that. Let me just get that started for you. Just a moment. I just need a couple details to get your service switched over. What date would you like service to begin?
I think next week, if possible. Maybe even next Friday.
That would be Friday, March. That would be Friday, March 19th, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that works.
Great. And then what is the address you would like service at?
It is 1340 Sandhill Road.
Just to confirm, that's 1340 Sandhill Road?
Yeah, that's right.
Great. Let me just set that up for you. Just a moment. Okay, I've got your service switched over to start on March 19th at 1340 Sandhill Road. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Yeah, sorry, one more thing. I've got a couch out front that'll need to have or be picked up before I move. Would it be possible to schedule that as well?
I can send you an email with a personalized video that summarizes your account and contains a button to schedule a large item pickup. Would you like me to send that to you?
Yeah, sure.
Great. I'll send that over now. Just a moment. I've sent the email over to you. You should receive it shortly. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Just let me check my email quickly.
Sure. Take your time.
Okay, I think I've got it here. Okay,
Great.
awesome. Yeah, I think that should be everything.
Great. I'm glad I could help you today. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call. Have a great day.
Hello! We've made this video just for you. Here are the charges from your most recent invoice, as well as your due date. Need to schedule an off-cycle large item pickup? Schedule pickups when it's convenient for you. Click the link at the end of this video. Please remember to indicate what items are and where they are located. We will send you an email confirming your pickup day and time. Do you need a new garbage or recycling bin? Or perhaps like to upgrade your bin size? Placing an order has never been easier. Click the link at the end of this video and we will drop it off within 5 business days. Thanks for watching and thank you for being a valued customer. To pay your bill, schedule a pickup, or order that new bin, simply click the buttons on your screen.
Great. Thank you, Grady. All right. So let's just pause for a moment, reflect on what we just heard and saw. In those interactions, the customer called in with a variety of different questions, right? They received accurate information, they were guided to the right tools, and they were sent personalized contextual information, right? And they were directed towards self-serve options that allowed them to resolve their issues. From a customer's perspective, they simply got what they needed quickly and conveniently. But behind the scenes, something really important happened. Those entire interactions were automated, systemized, they were executed without a single employee involved. And the customer likely had no idea unless we told them, and we can, but could you tell? I couldn't when I first heard it. And for most utilities, 40 to 60% of incoming calls, they're routine inquiries, right? Bill questions, usage questions, payment arrangements, move-ins, outs, leak adjustments, service requests, and that. And don't get me wrong, like those are important interactions, but they're highly repetitive. Some of them can be kind of monotonous, right? And they can definitely be automated, a few of them. So here's the real question. What would happen if half of your calls were handled automatically? What would you do with that time? What projects that are maybe sitting at the side of the desk could finally move forward? What proactive outreach could you provide customers, or maybe like higher touch on some of the interactions that with customers that do need that human conversation? And I want to be clear, like this isn't about replacing the workforce, because in reality, the utility is facing the opposite problem. EPA estimates that a third of the water sector workforce is eligible to retire in the next 10 years. And the new generation coming in, one's meant to replace these retirees and maybe promotions, they only stay for a couple of years. Millennials, they're always looking for that next job or role, moving up or out to get it. Gen Zs, they have a much more transactional relationship with employers and even less loyalty. I think long are the days of just being happy that you have a job. And this means that after lengthy onboarding investment, we might get a year or two of full productivity before they move on. The math doesn't work, right? And knowledge can be disappearing faster than it's being replaced. For smaller utilities, you can feel that the most, like losing 2 to 3 experts in a department at 10, like that's a structural shock. There's no redundancy or that backup bench. And I want to be honest, it can be hard in the public sector to attract and retain staff when sometimes the private sector can appear more attractive, especially to some younger candidates. This is the workforce cliff. It's here, and it's reshaping how we have to think about staffing, knowledge retention, and having some operational resilience to it. Why do you care? Well, when the expertise walks out the door, standard operating procedures, that knowledge disappears with them. Some of your best practices, they can erode, and it makes the teams that stay, they have to or new teams that come on board, they have to relearn processes the hard way. Onboarding becomes slower, it's more expensive because you lack those internal mentors, and staff can get burnt out. The employees that remain, they've got to absorb that additional workload. Ultimately, some customer experiences can suffer. They can decline. Service quality and response times might suffer. So in reality, this is the perfect storm. You've got these 3 forces hitting us all at once. You've got the retirement. So this wave of experienced employees leaving creates a drop in institutional knowledge, those critical processes and workarounds. That historical context disappears overnight, like I said. You've got the turnover. So younger workers moving roles and industries more frequently than previous generations. So the teams have to kind of they struggle with continuity and the training costs and those gaps. At the same time, rising customer expectations, right? So consumer apps, retail trends really change public's expectations. They expect these instant answers, these self-service tools, mobile access, personalized communication. You should know about me. Traditional processes, they just can't keep up with the pace and the style of the modern service demands. So really, like utilities, we aren't just facing one challenge. We're navigating this perfect storm where staffing instability meets higher public expectations. So I'm curious, folks in the room, how long have you worked in the utility industry? So jump into your Slido there, scan that QR code, and you'll jump into the room here. Look at this, 13, 14%, 17%, 20, 30 years, 10 to 20 years, 20%. This is interesting. Really good feedback, you guys. Yeah, thank you. So we've got around half of the folks in the room have been in the utility industry over 10 years, a big chunk in that 20 to 30 year mark. Well, like the good news is that we can build resilience and really ride this wave. And it's not by hiring more people, because we're not all going to have that luxury. It's going to be by redesigning how work gets done and by what, not who. And this is the part that you can take home. Okay, this is going to be a playbook for future-proofing your organization by scaling knowledge and capacity. Another one for you. So where do you think most of the knowledge within your organization resides? So be honest. Is a big portion of it just in somebody's head? Look at that. Yeah, I was waiting for that one there. Is it is it documented? I mean, I imagine a portion of it is in systems and software. So it's living in software. Half the staff have it kind of sprinkled throughout in people's head, in the software, in documentation itself. But it's pretty close. You think about your policies, your procedures, regulations, those standard operating procedures. If this happens, do that. Could be on those dusty binders on a shelf somewhere. Good interaction, you all. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's telling though, right? It's kind of sprinkled all over. So I thought it'd be helpful to understand the lens that we built this future-proofing framework through. One of the things that makes us unique is that we operate under this clear set of principles. We call it the Harris values. If you've been to HCTC or any of that, you've probably heard about it. These aren't just like words on the wall or some poster in the boardroom. They're really the foundation for every decision we make. So when we're evaluating how to build a product, how to serve our customers, how to prioritize things, this is the lens that we look through. Today, I wanted to use those same values as a framework to give you all some practical tools, a way to approach this workforce challenge. So yeah, think of this as your future-proofing playbook built around the same principles that guide us, okay? First one here, understanding reality. I know it could be hard to just jump right in trying to solve problems and start solutioning. And before we future-proof anything, it's helpful to really understand our reality, that reality check. And that means taking a really clear-eyed look at who our people are, where are they in their careers, and what risks are already hiding inside our org charts. I call this the current state assessment. So if some knowledge is going to walk out the door in the next few years, or even just in case someone gets hit by the lottery, we need to capture it now. So those standard operating procedures, workflows, judgment calls, like how are decisions made, all of it. So the organization isn't rebuilding from scratch every time somebody leaves. Let's do a reality check here, and let's be honest, okay? So if we lost a third of our experienced staff tomorrow, how confident are we that our organizations wouldn't miss a beat? So we wouldn't miss a beat because what they know, how they make decisions, what they do. How confident are we that those risks are mitigated? Okay, so about half of you are pretty somewhat confident. A little bit of nervousness in the room. I see that in number 2. Yep. Ooh, look tied. Oh, here we go. You guys are great. I appreciate you participating in the Slido here. Okay, so half of you are somewhat confident. A few folks in the room, a few folks are not very confident, and I understand. And really, like the next step from that reality check is, once you've documented, what your people know, the next step is really communicating and sharing that knowledge in a way that's scalable. So today, like the timing is perfect because we can train the AI layer. So this means feeding your standard operating procedures, policies, that institutional knowledge into models where AI becomes the common denominator. You're always on, never retiring subject matter expert. It's going to give every employee access to consistent answers, consistent processes, consistent judgment. So this is how we protect institutional knowledge and make it a permanent asset instead of just like a temporary benefit. Think about like this is your critical backup. So current state assessment, and then capture that knowledge, train a model on it. And when you look at all the challenges, I get it, it can be easy to be overwhelmed, but the way forward is not to boil the ocean. It's really to start with solutions, not problems. So you want to focus on high value, high impact opportunities. So this could be things like, automating those repetitive work. Like we saw in the demo earlier, 50% of all incoming calls are routine that could be handled in another way. Eliminate manual steps that burn people out. Prioritize the processes where a lot of errors or backlogs hurt the most. The idea here is that like these small wins create momentum, and momentum creates culture, right? And that culture is going to provide that resilience for you all. Respect the individual. So respecting the individual means giving your people the tools, the support, the clarity that they need to succeed. So in today's environment, I think that this means giving staff AI as a superpower. And I'm a millennial. I'm dating myself with the Super Mario power-ups there. But that's the way I look at it. And with AI co-pilots and kind of guided decision tools, new employees, they can perform like seasoned employees on day one. It's going to shorten training, reduce stress. It's going to help people focus on some of that meaningful work instead of just, like memorizing policies or digging through systems, dusting off those binders on the top shelf. So when your staff feels supported, they're going to stay longer, and they're going to perform better, and ultimately serve customers with confidence in those like high touch engagements that they do have. Question. So what do you think? Roughly how many calls does your utility receive annually relative to the number of customers you serve? So If you have 50, if you serve 50,000 active accounts, how many calls do you think that you get a year? Is it 1 for 1? Is it 25% of the customers that you serve, you get a call from them? A stat, I was talking to someone that operates one of the largest after hours call centers for utilities in North America. They found that the industry stat is roughly 0.7. Now they serve kind of a different segment of the utility industry than most of the advanced customers, but I thought it was still kind of an interesting point of reference. Okay, so about half of you get about 25% calls from about 25% of your customer base. 20 to 50%, about a quarter, and then spread kind of a quarter as well. Interesting. Kind of building on that a little bit, what's the most common reason that customers contact your utility? This is going to be a fun one. I think we've got a word cloud here. So it's kind of open text. Feel free to type it in and we'll see the answers pop up on the screen. So why are customers calling in? High bill. They're just looking to check their account balance. A billing question. Reset my password. Okay. So obviously, making payments, payment arrangements. They're looking to move in, move out. Payment arrangements seems to be number one here, as well as some billing questions, making payments. Okay, there's those bill adjustments and leak adjustments. Yeah. And move in, move outs. Okay. Good info. So empowerment at a point of contact. So empowerment it's not just about staff, it's also for customers. And in a world with a shrinking workforce, I think self-service has to become the default, not the exception. I'm going to expand on that thought in just a minute. But this is things like portals, smart forms, these personalized videos, AI chat, IVR. These are tools that give customers the ability to solve predictable problems on their own 24/7. I think COVID accelerated this shift, like it or not. Like a lot of customers really expect self-service everywhere, especially like I was talking about those retail trends, those consumer apps, right? This is where staffing realities meet customer realities. And I think that the organization that embraces this wins and gets further ahead. And I can hear a few of you in the back of my head right now, because I've talked to you at HCTC and user groups and things like, Jared, we can't make self-service the default. Our customers would take to the streets. And that might be true for maybe a small portion of your customer base, like those squeaky wheels that tend to get the most value from your customer service teams. But I will tell you that I've worked with utilities across North America, from the major metropolises to rural co-ops, and nobody likes change. Customers, staff, nobody likes it. But I will tell you this: so 72% of adults over 50 are on Facebook. 72% of adults over 50 are on Facebook. 48% of people over 65 play online games. I think Candy Crush has probably broken the records. But airlines, banking, insurance, retail, they've already made self-service the default. We can adapt and we can deal with the small number of exceptions, because honestly, I think we can't afford not to. Discipline and relentless focus, it means doing what we do best and partnering for the rest. I don't think utilities need more IT burden. They need less. And so that means leveraging experts for things like hosting, security, monitoring, infrastructure, these kinds of things. it reduces risk, it reduces workload, it gives you the scalability without a CapEx or OpEx surprise. And you shift that complexity to the experts. You adopt proven best practices without some of that, the internal friction that it might come with it. And ultimately, fire yourself from some of these legacy processes that might be holding you back. It's liberating. So together, I'm going to share 5 values that are like pillars, okay? So they're going to give you the framework to build resilience in a 5-year workforce world. So this is one that preserves knowledge. It's going to reduce workload, empower you and your teams to deliver, customer service excellence when the workforce turns over every 5 years. The first one is AI as the knowledge layer. Okay, so AI is going to help preserve that institutional knowledge. It's going to deliver that instant, consistent expertise so that every employee can perform like a seasoned veteran from day one. Dare to dream. Automation as the efficiency engine. Okay, so automation, it's going to eliminate those repetitive manual work, create kind of reliable, consistent workflows that will free staff to focus on, higher value tasks, things that might take a little bit more thought and strategy. Personalization as the engagement multiplier. Okay, so personalization, it turns your data that you already have in different systems of record into timely, relevant outreach. Okay, that respects people's time. It drives higher customer action with less effort and budget. Self-service. This is the capacity amplifier. So self-service is going to empower customers to resolve their own issues on their own time. It's going to reduce that call volume, increase some of that operational resilience without adding staff, without adding that head count. Last but not least, the 5 pillars here of this future-proofing the utility is around cloud and managed services. So managed services, this is that stability backbone, right? Leaning on the experts. So cloud managed services, like I said, it's going to reduce that IT burden. It's actually going to enhance security and reliability because you're leaning on people that this is all they do. And it gives utilities the scalable foundation for future growth, okay? So at Harris, our mission is to build this enduring organization, okay? This is one that is going to be around long after you and I have all moved on. So future-ready utilities, we don't wait for the workforce cliff to arrive. We're going to start capturing knowledge, redesigning how work gets done, and by what, not who. And I want you all to think of advanced as your leverage, okay? Your partner to deal with this 5-year workforce and whatever comes next. So before we wrap up, I'm just checking time here. Before we wrap up, like I promised, I want to leave you with some practical tools that you can take back to your organization. So we've prepared this future ready playbook. We'll be sending it out afterwards. This is going to give you all a framework to run like an internal discovery session with your team. So it's going to have worksheets in there and tools to help you inventory your workforce. Start to identify some knowledge risks, maybe map critical processes and really prioritize where to start. And the goal is simple. Understand your current state so you can start future-proofing your organization today. Okay, so everyone who attends today, you're going to get a copy of this afterwards. Question for you. So think about this, dare to dream. If your utility could automate 50% of all incoming calls, emails, walk-ins, what would be the biggest benefit? What would you do with your time? What project would you start? Would you, go on a vacation? I'm curious though, any kind of projects on the side? What do you think? How do you think that you would reallocate your time, energy, and attention? You would optimize some things. So you'd kind of continuously look for different things to streamline. Maybe dig into some of your data, do some data cleanup, some data hygiene. Um, yeah, get more organized. So finally take that a minute to kind of go through things and kind of clean things up. I think that you hit the nail on the head here. Reduce burnout. I think that's big. Just relieving some steam, relieving teams of some of those things. Reduce overload and current duties. Yeah, exactly. Documentation. This is interesting. So part of that kind of current state assessment, documentation is huge. Let's get it out of people's head onto paper. Let's train that AI layer on it. But actually just documenting things, it's often something that's at the side of the desk, right? Focus on bigger projects and process improvement. Yeah, you'd be able to start some larger initiatives that are maybe pipe dreams at this point, but may have their own approaching due dates, right? This is great, you guys. Really good feedback. Love this interaction. Want to give you a heads up that we're building on this. Okay, so we've got another webinar that's scheduled for June 9th around AI governance and responsible adoption. So you're going to take this future ready playbook, you're going to take it back to organizations, do this current state assessment, start to prioritize some of these opportunities, and then as you think about like implementing some of it, it's good to have kind of a heads up on how maybe you should be thinking about some of the governance around it, because this really isn't a set it and forget it thing, and it's a pretty dynamic environment right now. And so we're going to bring in a team of experts to give you all some guidance as well before you start to actually implement some of those ideas. So stay tuned. You can check out the new advancedutility.com website that we just launched, and then so the events will be on there. I think we have some time for questions. So I'd like to open it up. Don't be shy. You can drop it in the chat. Grady and I will do our best to answer some of your questions.
So Jared, we have one question. Someone was asking, was Grace really AI?
Yes, Grace was really AI. There's actually a few different voices that you can have, but you can probably notice she's very conversational. So in this demo, she was plugged into CIS Infinity on the back end. Grace can connect to any system of record, but the idea is that she's got access to all the information. You can decide at what point do calls actually get reverted to a human to answer it. If things get escalated, she'll check tone and kind of sentiment to give you some analysis on that. So we want to make sure that people have great experiences with her. You can let customers know that Grace is an AI agent as well. So it's very configurable, but she's trained on she's connected to systems of record, trained on your policies and procedures. So she really is like an always on part of your team.
And Carlos is asking, will all of this be on V5 only, or is it, if so, what version? So would this be available in V3, V4, or V5?
This is available on V5, yeah. And Grace is connected through the REST API.
How many calls can Grace handle at one time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to lean on Grady for that one.
Yeah, I can answer that one. Yeah, typically Grace can scale up to like as many interactions as are coming into the call centers, or maybe in the case of like an outage or bills going out. The idea is that Grace is kind of there if no calls are coming in, she's kind of not handling any interactions. But in the case there's kind of a large surge, she's able to scale up and handle all of those. So we would typically say kind of hundreds of calls at the same time, or where Grace would typically, or is what Grace would typically be able to handle, but there's no kind of theoretical limit there.
And Grady, sorry to interrupt, Kathy. I was just going to expand on that for a sec. That Grace can actually handle incoming and outgoing calls as well. So while she's handling incoming calls, can also be sending folks who may be subject to disconnection, or maybe there's a scheduled service interruption, or you kind of name it, can be incoming and outgoing in parallel.
And Red is asking, what tool is powering the AI agent?
I can answer that. Yeah, so there's a handful of different AI models that power Grace. And basically the way it works is we have kind of a data set that's built on kind of high quality utility customer service data that we're able to basically train kind of the latest and greatest, newest AI models. So it's actually powered by it could be powered by a handful of different models. And then so going forward, we hope that as these models improve, we're able to basically apply this kind of data set to future models, be able to kind of improve the performance as time goes on. But typically it's hosted within the cloud. So that's with kind of an Azure or OpenAI model, but there's a few different options there.
And Deanne's asking if we're using Matcha, Jared.
This particular solution isn't using Matcha, but we do use Matcha all the time, but not as part of this demo, what you saw here today.
And one question is, how do you help an organization that is very skeptical about using AI?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
That was Kathy Thompson who asked that question.
Kathy, thanks for asking it. So we're going to be getting into a fair bit of that in the next webinar, where we're going to bring in some subject matter experts. These are going to be folks both with kind of the technical background, legal background. You want to think about state regulations as well. How are you communicating with customers? So I think getting some guidance from those types of subject matter experts is really going to help you kind of formulate your policies and procedures and have some governance around it. So it really kind of boils down to like leaning on some subject matter experts for that. And yeah, like I said, we're gonna help you with that in the next webinar session.
I can add I'll just add an example there. Yeah, typically with these tools, you want to position them in a way that you can start quite small. So like for Grace, for example, you could start by having her handle only like a subset of interactions, or maybe like 1 in every 100 calls that are coming into the call center, and spend a handful of time reviewing those interactions. And as you see success, basically scale up the number of interactions she's handling. And then typically with like other platforms as well, so just like email, you could have Grace generate you draft email responses and then have a CSR review those before sending those out to the customer. So there's different ways to reduce the risk when implementing a solution like this.
And I think, what we're doing at Harris too is we have AI evangelists, and those people are leading the way for us, and they find ways for us to make improvements every day and show us how cool AI can do, what it can do and how it can do it, which helps us to reduce the fear, anxiety, frustration with trying to using it ahead of time. So if you start small, it always helps to make improvements, and you can build on that over time. And also, someone's asking now, how many languages does Grace speak, and can the customer make a choice to speak the AI or a real person?
You can answer those. Yeah, so starting with the languages, it's around 40 different languages now, and that number kind of grows every day. Typically, like for an implementation, we would start with like a subset of languages. So we often see English and Spanish being the big ones. Then oftentimes there's a third, and we would kind of be cautious about the languages that you would choose to select, because that obviously impacts kind of what languages are being tested. But what this looks like is Grace is able to basically like transition back and forth between languages. So conversations can start in English and then move to Spanish and then even back to English. So yeah, the language capability is quite impressive there. And even if the conversation can mixes between a handful of different languages, Grace is able to handle that quite smoothly typically. And then sorry, yeah, and the question on the speaking to a person, yes, so that this is always an option in the case the customer asks for to speak to a real person, or if the customer is frustrated, that escalation path is always there. If you want that to be kind of the first message, or even like hidden within an IVR tree, so press 1 to speak to Grace or press 1 to speak to a person. Theoretically, something like that can exist. Kind of depend on what that implementation looks like, but that's absolutely a possibility.
And Red is asking, does this integrate with our current phone systems? So will Grace integrate with the phone systems?
Yeah, so typically Grace would integrate with your existing IVR systems. So yeah, and I talked a little bit about it in terms of kind of what that configuration looks like, whether Grace is the first point of contact, or if maybe she exists within different branches of the IVR tree. But overall, yes, this kind of integration exists between the phone systems. If you currently don't have an IVR or kind of the required telephony infrastructure, this is also something that we can provide as well. So there's a couple of different options there.
And Deanne is asking, which all of us are, always concerned about our data. What PII data protection within the AI? What's the PII data protection within the AI framework?
Yeah, and I think there's a handful of points here, and I'll probably miss a few, but I think the big one is that the fundamental model that like powers these conversations is never trained on real customer interactions. So there's a handful of different mechanisms to basically have Grace improve over time, but it's never the case where like the actual transcripts of customer conversations go back into the model to improve that. So this means there's kind of no risk of PII from other conversations like appearing with conversations with like other customers or even kind of outside of the organization. We've done a lot of work to basically make this kind of a generic AI customer service agent, where all basically organization and customer specific information is kind of injected in real time. So it's not kind of part of the training mechanism there. And then there's a handful of guardrail mechanisms, retention policies and things I could get into. But I think that training is the big one. But obviously I'd be happy to have a more in-depth conversation around the PII and security side.
And Daniel Winter says, not a question, just a comment. Very well presented. So good job, guys.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
So we have time for
you all were a great audience. Yeah.
We might have time for maybe one more question. Anybody else have any other questions you want to share?
Happy to set up one-on-one demos. If anybody would reach out, Joe will reach out to you and we'll set something up, sir. Good questions. Deanne, Rhett, everybody in the chat. You guys were great.